Welcome back, everybody. This is the thejonnymar, and I am continuing in the world of Gunman Clive. So last time we took on the first 10 stages of this game, and this time we're going to take on the last 2 worlds, so to speak. And that is, of course, the 2 most difficult worlds of this game. Ow. And so it is, of course, built exactly the same way as the first part. We're going to be splitting into 5 different levels in each world, 4 regular stages, and then a boss battle. Okay, and we're gonna see some new mechanics in this particular part. So we have a lot more jumping, of course. We have these guys popping up out of the ground that you want to shoot as well. We have some moving platforms that we're gonna have to jump onto. And some of them get a little tricky, so they're pretty speedy, so you actually want to jump well in anticipation of the platforms, or else you'll end up missing them completely. And a few of the platforms do have enemies on, so you do want to shoot them as well before they get a chance to knock you off. So that level isn't too bad once you know kind of the particulars of the platforms. Now this level annoys the crap out of me still to this day. This is a level that I have died on many, many times, and that's because of these little jumping platforms here. You have to push the jump button right as the platform or the little mushroom is going into the up position, and that'll allow you to get a little bit of an extra bump off of it to get the extra height on it. Okay, we made it. And I have died there a lot. They're kind of tricky to figure out. Once you figure it out, you can kind of time it correctly, but even once you know the timing on it, they still can be tricky as well. And then we have these guys being brought along by ducks. And this is where things kind of get ratcheted up quite a bit. So if you don't know the timing, you will die. Most likely, anyway. So we're going to continue onward here. This little part here, we have to use it to get to this platform up here. And then we have one more little area here as we have some guys hiding behind their blocks. And a duck, of course. We're just gonna say, to heck with all of you, and finish off the level. Alright, so we're done with that. So now another new mechanic, and that is these little boards that we have to worry about. These little kind of weights. What's the teeter-totters, I guess, is the way you would consider them, or seesaws, I guess, is another way of kind of looking at it. And then we have some rocks that we have to roll on as well. Now, the rocks are actually over spikes, and when you're playing on normal, the spikes are actually instant kill. If you're playing on easy, they will just do a little bit of damage and move you back. So you want to be careful, not too difficult, but this is the part where it gets a little bit more tricky. Now we have some moving platforms along with the seesaws. Ow. Oh crap. And enemies, of course. And you will get started all the way back at the beginning of the level if you do die. So my no-death run has ended. I have died now 2 times. Not that I thought I would get through this game without dying, but I had a nice little run there in the first part without dying. So, you know, maybe. But no, it was not to be. And this isn't even the most difficult parts. We still have that to come. So we'll get to them. I'm going to try to speed run a little bit here since, geez, we showed off pretty much most of this level. And I do want to get through this pretty much as quickly as possible. It's much easier to play it safe, but I do want to try to be somewhat speedy. And I'm always going to try to take out the enemies before they take me out. Come on. So what's tricky about this, of course, is that the platform that you're riding on the left does not always time perfectly with this other platform. Okay. So it can be tough to get up there. And this is a simple just little run across there, or jump across. And we cleared it. Hey, without any damage. Nice. And now another new element, and that is these little electrical platforms. So at the beginning of the stage here, along with a fan that we have to, of course, control ourselves with. And remember that jumping is the best way to advance. And then we have some spike platforms we have to dodge, as well as some storks or pelicans. And you do want to not land on the spikes, because again, that is an instant death. As you'll notice there, that you do have to actually use those electrical platforms for jumping purposes in some of the particular puzzles of this particular level. And so you do want to take that into account. It's not always just avoiding. Sometimes it's avoiding as well as jumping on them. Ow. And now they're mixing things up by making these spikes actually move around, along with our mysteriously moving ladders. But that is it for this particular level. So that should take us to the boss. The boss is pretty easy. He's got a go-go gadget arm, which you can jump over. And then he will shoot at you, which you can duck under. And then he'll use his arm to actually fly around the room. When he does it in the middle of the room, you just have to duck down and you can dodge him. Sometimes he'll go straight up in the air, like so. And when he does that, he'll shoot at you. And so basically then you just have to avoid his bullets and run underneath him and then shoot him when you get a chance. And Ms. Johnson is being taken into an Old West version of a UFO, I guess, and we need to head after her. So what's going to be our form of transportation? Why, a rocket, of course. So we're going to have a side-scrolling shooting stage. Little bullet hell, I guess. Although certainly not nearly as bad as some other games. So you can destroy these asteroids, meteoroids, whatever they are, meteorites. I forget the difference. I think asteroid is in space, and meteorite is when it actually hits the ground or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But then you have enemies as well that you have to dodge or take out. Ow. You know, with your face, like I am. And then just try to continue to advance as this poor guy on his horse. It takes about 4-ish shots to take out a asteroid, I'm just gonna call it. And then of course the enemies take anywhere from 3 to 4 shots. And then this is the end of the level, so just finish it off. I'm not sure what that star means. Now this is another really tricky level, and that is because we have some extra physics implemented here. I guess it's supposed to simulate that we're on the moon or something of the like. And so your jump is actually much longer and higher than normal. And then you'll have to dodge the asteroids as well. And that's the only part of the level where that is the case with the asteroids. Then you're going to want to take out these particular little spinners that shoot at you, and then use the electrical platforms here to advance onward. And some of this can get a little tricky. Thank you for the invincibility frames, because obviously I would have fell there if this would have not had those. So you gotta love Mega Man for starting that, or whatever game actually started that trend. Drop down to the left slightly and then back to the right, and you're good to go. And a few more enemies to kill here, and then we'll be done with this level as well. Jeez. Guy almost hit me. Very close. And now we have another new element, and that is the anti-gravity or reverse gravity platforms here. So whatever direction the arrow is pointing is the direction that you will fall in. And so you want to use these while also dodging the spikes to advance on in the level. We got some pretty awesome music here. This might be my favorite music in the game. Now when you're on this far wall like this, you do have to push left in order to duck down. So it can be a little disorienting, of course. And then you want to fall all the way to the right to get a little bit of a boost towards the end of this particular little stage. And then we want to drop at the top, drop down again, try not to take damage, and then do one big leap to clear all of those spikes. Now things get a little bit more tricky. We have electrical platforms with spikes, and then also enemies as well. Not terribly difficult, as long as you dodge them effectively. And then as you advance, we'll have to dodge spike balls, and also continue to destroy these rotating yellow platforms. We are very, very quickly approaching the end of this game. There's not much left. And then we'll take on the final boss. And that'll be it for Gunman Clive, and then we will have to make a decision about whether I'm going to take on Gunman Clive 2 or not. I have not played that yet, so I have no experience with it, but I've heard it's basically similar to this game, but they made some additions and some improvements, so that's pretty awesome to hear, because obviously this game's pretty awesome. I do enjoy it quite a bit. Use our little Indiana Jones style boulder here. Down this ladder and take out some enemies here. Not too tough. Kind of the calm before the storm. This guy will throw little bombs at you, so we're just gonna kill him as quickly as possible. And then the last little rise here, ascent towards the final boss. Kill some enemies, try not to get hit too much, and then all we have to do is get to the top of the ladder. And we did it. So the final boss is our Shadow. How wonderful. Nice little Zelda 2 action here. So he's not too tough. You want to stay generally a little bit ahead of him, take a couple shots, and then dodge him. And generally, as long as you stay a little bit ahead of him, you won't have to worry too much about taking damage. Just don't get too greedy with your shots. And you can actually, this is a great position to be in, because he will run all the way from the right there, and you can get a lot of shots in before he actually comes over. And once you beat him, you take on the real final boss, and that is this massive robot, which will try to crush you with his hands. He has a couple different patterns. He'll slam his hand 2 or 3 times. As long as you run back and forth and dodge, you should be fine. Or he'll slam it 1 time, and then you can also use the platform. Ow, the hand is a platform, I should say. To jump up and shoot him in his big yellow head. And then you'll notice he also had a little hand clap move, and then he also has this acid or fire move. All pretty easy to dodge once you know the pattern. You just want to be careful that when you're jumping off his hands that you don't jump into his head, because it will do damage. And that is it. He is done with. So we have defeated the final boss, and we have saved Ms. Johnson. And we get a nice big kiss. And that is the end. That's it. So all it does is send you back to the beginning of the game, and now you can take on any of the levels. You can try to get better scores, try to do it without taking damage. You can do it for better times, etc. And each level is kind of there for you. Again, I don't know what the star means, but usually it'll say no damage when you've done it without damage, high scores, etc. But the last thing I kind of want to show off in this LP is that there are some extra characters you can use, and each character is a little bit different. So finishing the game unlocks Duck Mode. And what Duck Mode is it's an anti-aggression mode, so you are basically unable to attack as the duck. So you have to get all the way through each of the levels, basically on a pacifist run. And your jumping is a little bit harder to control, but you can fly for at least a short distance. And they did redo some of the levels so that you don't have to kill enemies to advance, and they also took out all the boss stages, so you don't have to take on the bosses either. So you can play through the game as the duck. Now you also have the other characters as well. You have Ms. Johnson and Chieftain Bob. Now Chieftain Bob is only in the Wii version. He is not in the DS version. And each of them plays, again, a little bit differently than Gunman Clive. So Ms. Johnson's pretty similar. You'll notice Clive's the one that's kidnapped. She's slower because she's got that dress on, and she actually doesn't move while she shoots. And then, of course, the last mechanic, thanks to Super Mario Bros. 2, slash Doki Doki Panic is that she can float if you hold the jump button while she's in the air. But otherwise, she gets all the same power-ups as Clive, and she plays, again, somewhat similar to him. Slower, can't run while shooting, and then, of course, you can float, which can save you, I guess, sometimes if you're careful with it on some of the jumps or things like that. But the power-ups are pretty much the same, so are gun power-ups, etc. Now, Chieftain Bob is the one that actually changes the gameplay, well, not as much as Duck Mode, but pretty significantly. And that's because he does not have a gun, he just has a spear. And so he is a melee fighter. And so, again, Clive is the one who's kidnapped. So you have to do all of your combat in close quarters. And I don't think he gets power-ups. You have to use just that short-range spear. You can't throw it or anything, as far as I know. It's just a stabbing weapon. And that is it. So definitely for someone who knows the game very well. But that is it for my Gunman Clive playthrough. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me try Gunman Clive 2. Otherwise, I will continue onward with my other series, Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy 2, and also Ni no Kuni is coming back in the very near future. So as always, thanks for watching, viewers, and I'll see y'all next time. So long!